for people who consider themselves targeted individuals, harassment comes, well, it's like ice cream. It comes in many flavors. A lot of times, what you're dealing with. It's obvious. Other times, it's, more of a gaslighting technique. And sometimes you're just forced to speculate as to what's really going on. New targeted individuals, they're going to run into that more often. And, they're going to have, their, wonderful first experiences with all the crazy stuff that targeted individuals deal with. They're going to get street theater in, multiple arenas, personal information, things that nobody should know. And that's as far as I'm going to go with that, because it can get worse. Zeph Daniels talks about it being dimensional. And, I do think that there's, a spiritual dimension, and I think that it does, possibly, I don't know this, transcend time and space and all that stuff. And you're going to be dealing with things that are just weird, that you can't explain. There's no way. I mean, a lot of people, they'll get messed with. It might be, something that you could look at and say, wow, I wonder if somebody hacked my phone, or I wonder if, somebody, has, been digging into my, history, or maybe they got a camera or something, in my house or whatever. People deal with that kind of stuff. And it's just, you're going to be thinking about it, even if you're a seasoned target individual. And it might be a couple hours, 2, 3, 4 hours later, maybe a day, depending on what you've had to deal with. And it'll pop into your head. You're like, I don't know. I really don't care. But wow, I wonder what that's all about. And you try to connect the dots. It's not a big deal if you've been doing this a long time. Like I said, new target individuals, they'll bust their head trying to figure out, wow, how did that happen? And then you get people out there that are looking at all these videos and it's like, that's got to be it, No, I doubt it. But because I think a lot of this stuff is just spiritual, but you will run into situations where you are literally forced into the position to speculate. You don't know. And I think it's safe to say that it's almost better just to kind of forget about it. Okay, I've run into some pretty weird stuff. And I've talked about, some of the things that I've dealt with other TIs, maybe a friend or whatever, even if they're not a target individual. Just, what do you think of this, And you get some strange looks or whatever, but some people know it's not just you that's experiencing these things. There's other people. And, I think and I've got this from other people, just forget about it, I mean, what are you going to do about it anyway? A lot of the things that target individuals, have to deal with needs to be processed. And you can process it real simple sometimes, whether you need to pay attention to it or you don't. You don't have to figure out all the logistics in what's happening to you. Especially when it gets down to some of the weirder things that you're going to deal with. Some of the, more unexplainable scenarios that you're going to have, when you're dealing with this stuff. And, I mean, I've seen some pretty weird stuff. I remember one time, and I think it was in 2015, where I just, it was a regular day for me. I woke up and I had this cheesy, it was almost like elevator music, from, I don't know, it must have been like the 70s or something kind of going through. I don't remember what song it was. It was, why am I thinking of that song? It was really the only thing I could, whatever. And so, I kind of, proceeded to go, through my daily activities. And I went to work, and that was when I was doing the pizza delivery. And I was sitting around doing the work, and I was just there. It kept popping into my head, and it was just, it wasn't the whole song. It was like a complete, version of this damn cheesy song, but it was just like one or two lines of it. It just kept popping into my head, and it's just why. Usually that happens after you hear it. Usually you got to hear something, and like, I can't get that dumb song out of my head, or you go over to your friend's house and they're playing a Disney movie or something, and you go, oh God, I haven't heard that song in a while, and it might stick with you for a while or something, but there was no stimuli, there was no explanation, and so I'm whatever, I'm just ignoring it. It's no big deal. The little tune keeps popping up, and so I go to the store, and how they got the music that they pipe in to the stores, and I'm sitting and I'm getting a bunch of stuff, and I'm I'm kind of a European shopper, so I'm getting everything, and all of a sudden the tune pops in my head again, but I noticed, and I was getting right up to the the checkout, and I was, God, that's the same, and it was. I didn't notice it at first, because I'm just doing, it was a regular night. I just got off work. I'm tired. I'm in a lot of pain. And it was that song. And I thought, gosh, there's just no way. And right then I was looking down, I was looking at some stuff in the cart, and I looked up, and everybody in the store turned around at once and just stared at me with this weird spaced out look. I'm not kidding. And I'm like, I don't know if it was supposed to scare me or something. I mean, I was, it shocked me to the point that it was entertaining. Okay, because I've seen some pretty weird stuff. I'm not even going to tell you guys. But, I started laughing. And it was just funny at that point, because it was, it wasn't really that significant of a song. I can't even remember what it was. And then all these people, and I'm sitting there, and I'm getting my stuff, and I noticed, God, that's the same song. And I looked up, and boom, all these people just turned around and looked at me. There was probably 12, 15 people. And I was just, I started laughing. And then they, all of a sudden, when they saw me, break out laughing, they looked scared all of a sudden, and they just turned around. And all at once. And I'm like, what the hell was that? And so I'm riding the wave, and I'm just like, yeah, okay, you can try that again, aren't you? But how do you explain something like that? How do you explain it? I've thought about it a little bit, and you know what? Every time there's something that pops up, I just laugh about it and forget it, because I could sit around all night, and I could try to figure out what happened. I could think, oh, it's demonic, or I could get out there and watch a bunch of videos and be like, oh, it's some kind of a neural mapping network, mind control cluster, laser device. I don't care what it is. And you know why? Because I'm minding my own business, doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And you guys got to remember that. Whatever harassment you're getting, whether you think your phone is hacked, or, if somebody's put a stupid camera or something in your house, or they're using something, or there's some kind of spiritual thing going on, you know what? You're just like anybody else. You are. And they want you to believe that you're being scrutinized for whatever reason. They're going to bring up character defects, or they're going to do something else. Or they're just, don't believe it. Don't believe any of it. You have to know that you're no different from anybody else. And I've mentioned this a billion times, and I think it was one of the first videos I ever made. If you get that kind of street theater, something weird happens to you or whatever, you know what? They're the ones that should be embarrassed. They are. Really? I mean, and I've had some pretty weird street theater, and I like to make people work. I don't even acknowledge it, but at the same time, do I have to sit around and feel ashamed? No. And you gotta live a transparent life. Okay? That's another thing. And I think people confuse realizing some of those things. with progress and, having, this whole thing kind of transform the way they live. And then give credit to the Gangstalking, for whatever kind of, self-improvement. I've heard of people to where, I kind of straightened my life out when I realized I didn't have any secrets or whatever, Okay, well, that's good, but they were trying to drive you nuts. Okay, they weren't trying to, put you in a place where you're going to, be a candidate for some, self-improvement project. You got to remember that. Don't believe the lie. And, as far as, like I said, processing some of this stuff, do you really have to figure it out? Do you? What's the difference? A lot of people have, I've run into TI. I got to know how is this all? Who cares? You can't be right and wrong at the same time. I don't care how talented you are. And when people are using, whatever kind of tactics and they're harassing you, they're wrong. They're never going to be right. You can't do something, like that and claim it's justified in any world or, a star system in any galaxy that's ever been created, because it's always going to be wrong. And, that's one of the lies that comes through, that these people are justified, or they're trying to help you, or you deserve it, or whatever. Well, it's never going to be right. It's never going to work out. So, yeah, you're going to have to process the information, but you don't have to figure everything out. And there's always one thing that you're going to know, is that these people are wrong. However you want to look at that, with whatever they're doing, and they're always going to lie, right? There's always going to be some, lie that goes along with it. It's usually just, people venting anyway. And, if you can't entertain yourself with what's going on, just forget about it. You don't have to figure it out. Try to keep things as simple as possible. That's what I do. I have protocols for everything, and I've got a time limit that if things become consistent and, all this stuff just, kind of stops or whatever, I'm going to wait for a certain amount of time. And when that time, is complete, then, I'll stop living that way. I might, change up a few things. But in the meantime, I'm going to just keep it real simple. I'm going to have protocols. I'm going to, try to live in spite of this stuff. And, I'm not going to bust my head trying to figure out, what everybody's deal is. And, because I already know. I do. And some of these things, who cares? I mean, you got to live every day. You got to do pretty much the same thing. Life is simple. You wake up in the morning. You got to clean yourself up. You've got to figure out to eat. You got to go to work. You've got to, keep your mind occupied. And that doesn't involve trying to figure all this crazy stuff out. Because the first thing you got to figure out is that some of this stuff just has to be ignored. And, you're going to have control over what this, whole thing is doing to you only if you play that game like that. The only way you're going to, because otherwise they're always going to manipulate you. If they can get you thinking about this stuff all the time and worried about it or whatever, they're going to be in control. Don't give them that control. I don't care if it's just something that makes you angry. At one point, you have to stop processing information and just try to forget about this stuff. And, you don't forget to pray. Keep your mind occupied with something productive, something that's positive, draw near to God. And you know what? You don't have to figure all this stuff out. Don't let them force you to speculate. Guys, have a good night.